Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today looking at a summary of Adrian Ip's work from WCCFTech's article inside the Star Citizen development process, in which he had an interview with EKD, Kieron Davis, and as the title suggests, it talks about CIG and Foundry 42's development processes and practices for their games Star Citizen and Squadron 42. We'll cover that and fill in any holes with other recent information where appropriate. The original is worth a read if you have time, and I will link it down below. I'm going to summarise some of the talking points, others I'll grab highlights from the interview from EKD's words precisely. In regards to development structure and practices, EKD said, "We determined early on that we wanted to allow for the teams in each location to work closely together, but in a system that works well globally. When we first started, you remember we had each studio was like a pod and operating in a silo. Star Citizen uses the Agile development model with regular group meetings and sprints to complete specific tasks in small groups typically. It lends itself to their 12-month roadmap and focuses on features that are on the horizon and obtainable in the near future. Over time, they have hired a large staff of 500 plus people working on their two games, Star Citizen and Squadron 42. They have had to learn how to operate as a company from humble beginnings. As they get to know their newer hires and staff better, they are able to more accurately schedule and work out who to put in a particular strike team to do what particular task and how long it will take them to do that. The quarterly releases are helping them get better at delivering regularly. In regards to game branches, their game dev branch that they work on holds kind of everything they've worked on in its totality. This then has features that they want to be included or excluded and branched off for a particular quarterly release. For example, 3.3 Alpha's release on October 10th. The branch basically then gets polished and tested separately from the game dev branch. Eventually, this gets released to the PTU, and then eventually after that, after a bit more polish and bug fixing, to a live build. EKD gives an example. For instance, we did a bunch of fixes to the Gravlev system. We didn't just want that to be on the 3.1 branch, and then Squadron doesn't have it, so we're naturally putting it back into game dev. Generally, pretty much everything is going back unless we do what's called a no merge. If, for example, it's something we put into the 3.2 release, but we want to do a bit better of a implementation in the future, so we don't want to put it back to game dev because it may break other systems we're working on. Doing things in this way, we can meet objectives to give the community what they want, but then we engineer it properly afterwards. They are able to basically merge the fixes, improvements, and updates from that branch, so 3.2, they're able to put back into game dev and then start working on the next major branch, which in this case is 3.3. It's a quick process for them now that takes at most a few days after they've released a live build. In regards to the game's technical health, technical debt, and legacy code, EKD said, with a project like this, and you know Chris Roberts himself is a coder, and he's up every night pouring through the code. The man is a machine. Back before my time, there was an element of, we've got to get the hangar module out, or we've got to get the Arena Commander module out. When you want to release that, there are some items that you want to put in place and they work, and then someone says, we'd better write that one down for later. You'd use the negative term tech debt. Honestly, when I first joined, there was what I'd consider a normal amount. It wasn't like, whoa, this is all tech debt. And the team did a good job of keeping track of stuff in the backlog that we needed to address. What's been really cool is that we've scaled the team and continued development. We've brought a lot of that stuff into our 2-week period sprints. And the rate of tech debt has gone down significantly over the last 2 years. We've always had a long list of things we want to do right, and we know we've just got to keep paying off that tech debt. Item 2.0 was a big one for us. That wasn't the perfect vision we wanted, and every time we do a release, we're doing an update to it. It's become a very healthy attitude of getting ahead of our tech debt, and we're continuously improving there. Shared code between Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. Some parts of the development are more critical than others. Squadron 42 doesn't require the MMO aspect of Star Citizen to work and to actually get the game released. There is a lot in Star Citizen that's going to be used in Squadron 42 and vice versa. They want to make it the best game they can. They are aware that at a high level, people look at Star Citizen and see $200 million game, 500 people, and ask why it isn't out yet. Staff leaving and new staff joining and how it affects the company. EKD said on this, in the old days, it was pretty dependent on who it was that was leaving. If it was a concept artist who had got a job offer to work on the next Iron Man suit, maybe we had another guy who could pick up his things pretty quick. But if it's an engineer who was deeply embedded in one specific code area, it was harder and we'd take a velocity hit. I think it was more of a problem when we were smaller and everyone was hyper-focused on one area. But we've scaled and grown. We have a much greater ability now to shift work around. As we've grown the company and are all making careers here and want this to be the place we work for the rest of our lives, we're really sharing knowledge, and the follow the sun development model also helps because we're all working on multiple components. There are places you can always get better and improve upon, but we're always working towards that. Also, they now have strike teams comprised of multiple devs from various disciplines all working together on particular features. They'll have a particular group working on the Mustang rework, they'll have another group working on swimming and animations, or they'll have another group working on a particular weapon, and they can branch this out to loads and loads and loads of things being worked on simultaneously. One strike team working on gas cloud tech, another strike team working on the flight model and IFCS. They work with all the studios globally to share information so that if someone on the team left or were ill, they don't have to wait. If someone doesn't come into work early, they can just start working on that particular piece if it's urgent. This is also true for blockers that they hit. They are able to have other devs and teams work on a problem from around the studios, meaning that if they have a blocker or a problem at the end of a day, in the morning, it could potentially have been fixed by another team already. They use Confluence, which is a collaboration tool, and Jira, which is basically a bug tracking, issue tracking, and project management sort of like software tool. They're integrated together, and they know using these who's working on what, who's doing what when. It's all logged, and anyone in the company can see that, so they can see what's coming up on their roadmap, they can see who's working on what, they can see if anyone does need help in a particular area. They're able to share information very easily internally between them online. In regards to reviewing people's coding and involvement with the project, because Chris Roberts has been known to jump in and help. Who reviews him? Who reviews the other people? EKD gave us some more information here. What's really important to us at all levels, especially at the leadership side, is to keep as closely in touch with the product as we can, and it takes a lot of effort to manage that. But on the coding side, absolutely, everyone has a peer review. Paul Reindell is our Star Citizen engineering director, and we have other insanely talented engineers, and Chris works very closely with them. There is definitely a level of maintained respect at all levels. Sean Tracy knows everything about Perforce, everything in our engine, and he's a super smart guy. He said he was going to try to do a check-in request that would purge the entire database just to see what would happen, and thankfully, it's blocked. We have checks and balances everywhere. We do a lot of testing, and there's a complete sense of shared responsibility across everything that we're doing. Back in the day, maybe things were different when there was just 10 people. But as we've grown, we need to ensure that creative process still allows for our independent natures, but still works in such a way that we can get things out with better timelines and higher quality, and everyone is on board with that. Star Citizen's always been an interesting project for me. They've had this open development model, and we've seen it from its very, very early concept stages to crowdfunding to the beast it's become today, to them starting to actually deliver parts of the game. So they're trying to build a game, a company, and all of the processes behind all of it. And we've seen them gear up and mature over the years. We've seen them start from that tiny, just a few people, now all the way up to 500. We've seen them make breakthroughs, we've seen them make mistakes. They still have some of their resources working on R&D and prototyping tech, art and techniques, but they only use appropriately small amounts of resources on that. They try and optimize their dev time where possible now. Outsourcing. So this is a big one because they have had issues with outsourcing previously. So there were clearly some issues with Ilphonic when they were making the Star Marine module and their first-person shooter stuff that meant that it basically slowed Star Citizen's development by around a year, it seems, possibly longer. In the words of EKD on outsourcing, there are strengths and weaknesses to both outsourcing and going in-house. When we started, we did some outsourcing to try and ramp things up quicker, and that also allowed us to learn what our strengths were internally. As we ramped studios, now it's like, I have this insanely talented team in Germany, and they know this stuff inside out, and I talk to them every day, and they're in my Jira and in my process. So we use that. We obviously still use some outsourcing now, but it's less core gameplay dev and much tighter controlled. We've seen stuff that we outsource now, we're able to get the best usage out of and turn things around really quickly. So basically, part of bringing most of the project in-house now is that they don't have too many dependencies on a single small group or person or one particular team to advance the project. And also, they've clearly had problems outsourcing in the past, although hopefully they've learnt from their mistakes. But as I said, please check out the full article if you have time to read it all. I just highlighted the main pieces, and I hope that gave you some more insight into the current development processes of Star Citizen. If you've got any questions or any further comments, please chuck them down below. Be sure to check out Shadow. It's a cloud-based alternative to getting or upgrading your gaming PC. It allows you to leverage the power of a GeForce 1080 at the moment and a powerful Windows 10 PC on almost any device, so long as your internet connection is good enough. It works with Star Citizen Alpha 3.2, and with 3.3 coming in September, with object container streaming, it's only going to get better. If you do try it out, be sure to use the code BoredGamer to get a discount. Links to more info in the description below. Every month we have a giveaway. For August, it's for a Saber Raven. All you need to do is be subscribed to my YouTube channel and comment on any of my videos during the month for a chance to win. A huge thank you to my Patreons whose continued support helps me run the channel. More regularly starting this month, there will be exclusive content, early videos, polls, and ways to influence the channels for both my Patreons and something new to YouTube, channel memberships and subscriptions. It is another way to support creators, giving viewers more options, as well as giving them some emotes and badges. I'll be normalizing appropriate rewards between Patreon and the channel membership service where I can, so fans wanting to provide greater support won't lose out whatever medium they choose. Thank you so much for your continued support, guys, and for watching. Please take care, and I'll see you in the verse.